What's up? This is IQWrestler. As you can probably tell, I'm very disappointed about what happened. But I watched 128 just a couple of hours ago, so I thought I'd do a quick rundown of the events that took place. First thing I want to say is, fuck all you Bloodstained Land haters out there. The guy got a lot of shit after 128, for no reason. The guy is just a fan. He's just a fan like you and me, and people hate on him because they're jealous of him. So fuck all you Bloodstained Land haters out there. And more Bloodstain. Keep what you're doing, brother. You're the best. You're the best there is. Now, moving on. The show was good. Overall, the show was very good. It was one of the better UFCs in quite a long time. None of the fights were really boring. And there were some really great fights on the show. First fight was, of course, Crow Cop versus Brendan Snob. Man, at this point you expect Crow Cop to lose, but that hardcore fan inside you just prays that he can get back on his winning ways. He did look good. He did look good. Better than he has, for sure. In his last couple of fights, he looked much better than that. Brendan Schaub went for glassjaw takedowns every time he got kicked, which is, the smart thing to do, of course. He won round 1. He was winning round 2 until he got a point deducted from hitting Crow Cop in the back of the head so many times, which really made me nervous about the fight. And in the third round, Crow Cop really tried to turn it on. And I had him slightly ahead in points until he got knocked out. That's the second time in a row he's been viciously knocked out by a shot that really wasn't that hard. It clipped him and he sort of fell and knocked himself out, it looked like. His chin might be gone. It was a vicious knockout. I would have been more upset, but at this point, I'm used to Crow Cop losing, just like I am with Sakuraba and such. It hurts, it really hurts, but you're sort of used to it by now. After the show, Dana White said Crow Cop was done with the UFC, which really surprised me, because he still has drawing power in Europe and such. So I thought they'd keep him around. And I don't know. I don't like saying fighters should retire. I've never approved of that. I think it's their body. They should got to do what they want with it, and if they want to keep fighting, more power to them. And all us hardcore fans can do is keep supporting them. But I don't know if Crow Cop will want to continue fighting after this. There's nowhere for him else to go, except maybe Strikeforce. We might see him there. But he will probably retire. His heart hasn't really seemed in it the last couple of years since Pride died. So the future is really uncertain for Crow Cop. Then there was Dan Miller taking on Nate Marquardt. Dan Miller, I'm a big Dan Miller fan. Him and his brother Jim, they're friends of Team Takeover. Those guys bring it. Very skilled guys. Nate Marquardt didn't look very good. He said after the Akami fight he was going to be really aggressive, but he wasn't really. He had Dan hurt a couple of times, but didn't seem to care really about finishing. He seemed content with coasting to a decision. I actually thought Dan probably did enough to maybe win the fight, actually. I thought he took rounds 1 and 2, possibly. It should have at least been a split decision, I think. But, a decent win for Nate Marquardt. He really needed a win. But mad props to Dan for stepping up in competition on such short notice. The guy's tough as hell, Then was Jim Miller, Dan's brother, going up against Kamal Shalarus. I gave Kamal Shalarus a lot of shit in my last vlog about his record and that. But what I forgot to mention is the guy's style. The guy has a great fighting style. He doesn't lay and pray people. He stands in the pocket and throws bombs with anybody. So I really, really respect him for that. And round 1 of this fight was incredible. This was really Team Takeover style fight. They stood in the pocket throwing bombs the whole round. Props to them for that. It was a great fight, actually. All around a great fight. Jim's stand-up looked fantastic. And I thought his Sakuraba single leg and taking the back straight away was just beautiful. Just beautiful. He got the knockout in the 3rd round with a knee. A sick knee followed up by some random pound. So I think Jim has deserved a title shot for a long time. A long time. It's not like a John Fitch thing where he doesn't finish fights and is somewhat boring. This guy finishes people and puts on great fights. He deserves a title shot. More than just about anyone other than Gray Maynard and Anthony Pettis, maybe. Then was Fabio Faber against Eddie Wineland, I believe. I expected Faber to blow through Eddie in this fight. It didn't happen that way at all. A really tough fight for Faber. His takedowns got stuffed at just about every turn. Wineland's takedown defense was just incredible. It was BJ Penn grade, that's how good it was. But Fabio, I feel like Fabio Faber just did a little bit more, He was more active and accurate on the feet. I thought Eddie did a great job at stopping the takedowns, but he didn't do much else, and I feel like that's why he lost. Then on to the main event. What can I say? First off, I want to give props to John Jones. I don't like the way he acted in the build-up to the fight, but anyone who says that guy hasn't got some real skills after this fight is out of their mind. So props to him for doing an amazing job. He did what no one else has ever done. Dominate Shogun. So props to him for that. I was stunned sitting there watching it. No excuses for Shogun. Shogun wouldn't make excuses. His fans shouldn't make excuses. I just think it would be interesting to see a rematch without Shogun having such a long layoff and break between fights. That's all I'm saying. It's not an excuse or anything. I feel like John Jones is sort of right now in a similar position to Brock Lesnar was. A big guy, a huge guy for his weight class, a tremendous athlete, and good skills but, you know, it'll be interesting to see how he handles his tests. His first test, his first challenge against Splendor, which will be very interesting. I look forward to that. Personally, I think Bones will run through Rashad, but, you know, Rashad poses some interesting challenges. A couple of different challenges than Jones has had. So, you know, that'll be very interesting to see how he does in a fight with Rashad Evans. I have no doubt in my mind, no doubt at all, that Shogun will be champ again, eventually. No doubt in my mind. You know, the guy will always be a champion in my eyes. I have him as the second best light heavyweight of all time, behind Vanderlei, just behind Vanderlei. And I have no doubt in my mind that by the time he calls it a career, he will be number one. What's next for Shogun? I think this sets up perfectly, absolutely beautifully, a rematch with Forrest Griffin. I think with Forrest coming off the win over Rich Franklin, you know, he's close to the upper guys in that division. And of course he'll always draw for the UFC. You know, he will have a job for a long, long time, no matter his record, because he draws people. People will pay to see Forrest Griffin fight. And I would love to see a rematch with Shogun to see how it plays out. I really want to see that fight. It might be my most anticipated fight right now. You know, very disappointing show. For me personally, as a fan, as just about all my guys lost, except Jim Miller. But, you know, it was an entertaining show. It was not a boring UFC with lots of lame play in that. I was thoroughly entertained and captivated the whole time. So, you know, mad props to the UFC for this card. It was a great show. Before I go, some shout-outs. Shout-outs, of course, to Mr. Bloodstone Lane and Mr. Fahrenheit. You guys are the best. I hope you guys had fun at the UFC, even though it went down the way it was, the way it did. You know, I hope you guys had fun and enjoyed yourself. Shoutouts to Elon MMA on Twitter. Hope I got your name right this time, buddy. Shoutouts to Chuck Force, J-Rod, Sambo, R3D, the Black Fedora Mario on Twitter. Awesome guy. My girl Brittany Ann, as always. Derry the Grape, Wayne Shorter, Sean Sinha, Dumby, Sambo, all those guys. Much love to you all. Peace out.